Welcome to Talk to MG. This is my show on Actify Press, and we're going to be talking about stuff that's important to us, mostly about stuff that's important to Black people, and we're going to do that unapologetically. So let's ride. So you're listening to Talk to MG, which is my podcast, my show here for Actify Press. So we're having on the show, we're going to have people, we're going to be talking to people, maybe some you know, some you don't, and we're going to talk about what's going on in the world. And over the next few weeks, you're going to hear me talking to people about the American Descendents of Slavery movement. I am a member or a proponent, a supporter, so to speak. Right now I'm going to talk to my friend Carla from the Northeast, and she's going to talk to you guys about how she feels about the movement. Hey, Carla, how are you?
Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to me out of your busy schedule.
Not a problem.
Not a problem. Okay. So I know your time is short, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I'm going to wait for your answers. We're going to talk back and forth, and we'll see how things go. How about that? Sound good?
That's great. Thanks.
Okay. So what candidate did you support in 2016? This is the reason I ask this question, because I often say that the movement is based on lineage as opposed to political ideology. So people come from all different corners because we're present in all different corners of the political spectrum. So that's why I asked the question. So let me ask again. What candidate did you support in 2016?
In 2016, I did support Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I was going to do. In 2014 and 15, I was already feeling pretty disillusioned, and I was, by 2015, believing that I might not vote, which would have been something very new for me. But I just felt pretty sort of defeated, I guess. And then someone talked to me a little bit about Bernie Sanders and his policies and his drive, his campaign. I began to do my own research, and I thought, if this man is for real, this could be an answer, and it would not just be me finding someone that I could pull the lever for. It would be somebody that I could actually believe in.
Mm-hmm. That makes a big difference. I find somebody you can believe in makes a big difference.
It's a huge deal, because as a Black woman, I had come to the conclusion, sadly, that I could vote for just about anybody, but I couldn't necessarily say that anybody was really for me.
That's very understandable. Yeah, because the Dems just take Black folks for granted, especially Black women, because their party would not exist without Black women and without Black people in general. So it's understandable, quite understandable.
It is a thing. It really is a thing, because the knowledge that they want our vote, that they feel that our vote does actually belong to them, mm-hmm. and yet you don't want to be the one to not vote or the one who votes outside the party, but at the same time, you can't lie and say that you feel convicted about the party, mm-hmm. and what it means for you, or for your race or your family, or just my entire demographic.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I know. It is.
Yeah, it's sad that it's so frustrating.
Someone should write a song about it.
So several songs, because the fact that they depend on our votes, which should make it a no-brainer. They support so many different things that they could support for us. And
it's a painful, Michael, because my father was very pro-education, pro-vote. My father, when we were living in the Bronx, used to come from his job and then take me and my brothers out, and he would knock on doors. Mm-hmm. And he would try to convince people in our area to vote, and he literally had to, come up with a million reasons for why not voting would harm us as a people. Mm-hmm. And I remember that. And he was very convicted about that. He was very, very sincere and very adamant that no matter what happened, We had to go out there, get some knowledge, and we had to pull the lever. And he wanted us to pull the lever as Democrats.
We talk a lot of junk about, for a lot of us, the option is not vote as opposed to voting for a Republican. And sometimes, and I think we're getting to the point where we're going to have to start doing that. We're going to have to start flexing our political muscle in order for the Democrats to believe us, to believe that we will walk. We will.
Well, you and I have spoken about this a couple of times now. And the last time was a few weeks ago. And sadly, after watching the last debate this past week, I don't get the impression that the Democrats are any further ahead on the issue of reparations for ADOS, or even recognize the difference between where we are as a people and where we were, say, 4 or 5 years ago. I don't think that they've changed their position. I don't think they've expanded their thinking, widened their knowledge. I just think that they still have the same agenda. That's how it feels to me. They want our vote. They want us to stand behind the nominated candidate, whoever that is, but they're not willing to make any promises.
Yeah, they're not willing to make any commitments to us, and that's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I don't understand why. I don't understand why I understand why, because they think we're not going to go anywhere. And honestly,
I don't know that that's all of it. I don't want to talk to conspiracy theorists. I just keep thinking that there's something more. When I saw back in February that Bernie Sanders did not support a full measure reparations package, that he actually specifically said that there should be no cash payouts, that he wanted another study. I was so shocked. And when I was told that, I said that couldn't be. And I did my research and, of course, found that it was that and a little bit more. And it was very upsetting. But at the same time, it made me stop and think, what's behind this? What is behind this?
Fear. To my mind, it's fear.
But what is the fear? What is the fear? And why? I mean, why would they not? Why would his campaign? Why would the people running the campaign not be pushing him towards the millions and millions and millions of ADOS voters who can actually influence this election and take him over the top? Why?
For me, to my mind, okay, this is Michael Graham's 2 cents. One, I think many people who are on the campaign don't understand what a predicament we're in, how far we have actually fallen, and how much further we would have to go to even get close to equal, right? And for others, I think they see it as insurmountable. And I think still others fear that supporting Black people will make other people leave, as opposed to being concerned about the people who will come because of it.
I disagree, because I don't think that there's a fear of supporting Black people. I think it's a refusal to support ADOS people.
Yeah, that's exactly. You are 100% correct there. Yeah, and that's when I said Black people. That's when I meant ADOS people. You are 100% correct. I think people, the country. I don't think that's a viable answer. I think they should have started months ago when reparations became a discussion point again. They should have done like they did with every other problem: put a plan together, lay it out, and run it, right? And make people believe, like they did with Medicare for all, like they did with free college, all that stuff that they did. They should have done the very same thing with reparations. Bernie's machine is used.
And they didn't. And what's frustrating, they did not do that. And what's frustrating about it is there's been a refusal to even reverse course and take a look and say, hey, look at the amount of upset and pushback we're getting on this. Let's take another look. Let's figure this thing out. Why do we have to continue to feel left out?
I think, well, I don't know if you saw Jamion's tweet. Bernie's team had reached out to him to discuss reparations, and there would look like there was some shift in what the I guess it was an intern that was talking to him. Looked like they're trying to shift, but I don't think it's enough, honestly, from what I saw.
I have a lot of respect and a lot of admiration for David Sirota.
Mm-hmm.
and I have for years. But I am very concerned about where he is on this.
Yeah, there's a few people I'm concerned about.
I'm very concerned about it because I don't know if you've noticed, but there is next to nothing being said by him about this.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Yeah, and I've tweeted at him about it. I mean, I'm nobody, but I tweeted at him about it, and it's really it is concerning. I mean, the entire left is silent on it for the most part. Justice.
Well, I don't know if you've spoken with Brianna.
I haven't spoken with her. She pissed me off one day. Anyway, let me go ahead. Yeah, there's some gaslighting coming from her that I'm not very happy with. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think that she's very much aware of what's at stake here. Mm-hmm. And I don't say that because she's a Black woman, but because I follow her. I read what she says. I've done a little research on her background, and I just think that I think that there's something in that campaign. There's something in the Bernie Sanders campaign that is rolling backwards instead of in the direction that he's known for, which is always a hard forward.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the guy running it fast, that dude, he used to work for Pelosi and Harry Reid. You know, he may be the stopping point. I'm not very fond of him, and and I'm sure he doesn't care, and Lord knows I don't care. And I think he may be somebody that's holding it back, right? And that goes back to, all right, helping Black people is poison for politics, and there was a time that was true, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I think you lay out your case. If it's just, it's just. If it's not, it's not. And I think in this case, it's clear that it's just if you listen to the correct arguments. And I think that that in the article I wrote for that recent article I wrote about nativism, and I think that was part of the campaign, was to silence those arguments because they were so powerful or are so powerful. But our job is to not let that fight die. We just got to fight harder. That's all.
Well, here's where I am.
Mm-hmm.
It was in early March of 2019 that I had to accept that the candidate I'd been voraciously supporting, would not take a stand on the single most important topic for me.
I feel
it is now the middle of September, exactly the middle of September, and I haven't seen any sort of a shift away from that stance of March.
Mm-hmm.
What should I think? What should my children think? What should my mother think?
Mm-hmm.
What should my aunts, uncles, and cousins think? And there's a lot of us. Mm-hmm. What should we think? I mean, I push them, and they're mostly in South Carolina. They're mostly in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I push them to vote for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not comfortable doing that push this time.
I understand. I've told a lot of people I'm no longer in the Bernie camp. I'm in the my camp, and he's gonna have to come to me.
I won't go against him, but I can't push the way that I did before, and I pushed hard. Okay, my family goes up and down the coast. I have friends who are voting as absentee ballot people in Europe. But I can't do this again because I don't want the weight of this loss. And even if he wins, it's a loss.
Mm-hmm.
If he won't take a stance for the people who actually made it possible for him to be here.
Absolutely, and that's
how I feel. I know they don't agree, but that's how I feel.
Mm-hmm. And it's true. It's true. And for me, they said that Biden has 46% of the Black vote. That's
a lie.
He's got a chunk. He's got a chunk, and whatever it is, Bernie's got to find a way to dislodge that, or he's not going to win. And
I don't believe that he has 46% of the vote, but I do believe that there's a problem here for Bernie.
Yeah, there's a huge problem here for Bernie, and if he can't see that this is an opportunity to take that vote away from or his team can't see, it's an opportunity to take that vote away from Biden. If he loses, that's on him. That's on him.
I found it terribly upsetting that Kamala used the word reparations so many times, and the guy that I supported so heavily did not.
Won't even touch it.
I am not a Kamala supporter. I don't like her policies. I don't like her platform. But
she didn't run away from the issue.
Well, she was smart enough to speak on it to some degree, even if she doesn't believe it. I don't know if she does or not, but she spoke on it.
Yeah, she did. And
people trash Marianne Williamson, pardon me, people trash Marianne Williamson, and they say all sorts of things about her not being of sound mind, and she's a woo-woo person. But I don't know, when I listen to her speak about the military-industrial complex and the need for reparations to heal the country, she sounds pretty
coherent.
No, she sounds like she's on point. She sounds knowledgeable. She sounds like she knows exactly what's required here. And she breaks it down into dollars and cents, and then she openly admits that it's probably going to be more than that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I agree with you. It is painful to watch this and watch Bernie run around this issue when there's a great opportunity here to mend the fences with Black people. I mean, granted, a lot of that was bullshit anyway, but this is a great chance for him to mend fences with Black people. This is a great chance to right an historic wrong on his watch. Right? Yeah, I understand that Congress is going to be a big fight, but there are so many steps that he can take as POTUS to make this happen. That's exactly what it looks like right now. That he won't. He won't.
And that's my question. That's where we start. I want to know why. It's not just why. What is this? What is happening here that we are not aware of? That we are not looking at? Something is happening here. I just feel like it's almost as if. I always get this awful feeling whenever I see of a shooting of an innocent Black person, unarmed innocent, or the police brutality against a Black person. I get this awful feeling in my stomach when I see how there's a sect of our population that supports them no matter what. If the opposition, if the injured party is Black, they're supported no matter what. I started feeling like that about Bernie, and that's not good.
Yeah, and this recent thing with Jamie on stage, kicking that dude off stage, and it reminded me of Clinton's Sister Soldier moment, where he basically told the world that he's not gonna take any shit from Black folks, and that thing with Jamie on stage could be one of those moments if Bernie's not careful, and there's really no way to get around it, I'm sure there's a segment of white folks who are Democrats who are tired of hearing about our problems, but fuck them too, because these are real problems and we are real human beings and real voters that finally need our issues addressed. And maybe it could be that big money folks won't back it, because that's going to come out of their pocket eventually. It's harder to take advantage of us. It's harder to monetize us. Harder to monetize our pain if we have some sort of economic power. There's a lot of fear of that. I know that for sure. But there is no reason why Bernie Sanders, who says who touts his experience, well, at least his team touts his civil rights experience. And I touted that too in 2016. That's like you. I thought right now it'd be a no-brainer to finish his work, to finish Dr. King's work. But
the thing is, I don't understand. What I don't think they understand. You do. I do. And even I don't understand fully the impact that reparations will have. I know what I believe. I know what Yvette and Tone have talked about. I see it. I understand that. But I know that it's bigger. I know that there's going to be more. I know that there's more. I mean, we're all in uncharted territory. The dialogue has never been so fierce and so strong. It's never been such that we've never been at a place historically where the dialogue has unified us. And yet I still wonder, okay, reparations. Reparations. Why does that word, why does the idea, the notion, the concept cause so much fear? We saw what happened. Progressives who, 3-4 years ago, they were railing against the Hillary supporters who were coming at them because they didn't support Hillary. How could you do that? How could you not support the person? If you support someone else and you're throwing the country away and Donald Trump's going to, and now those same people, many of them I know, are saying, yesterday I was called a bitch.
What?
I was called a bitch yesterday because I refused to say, hey, Bernie is everything. Bernie is wonderful. Bernie is going to, save us all. And I said, well, I don't feel like he's going to save us all. The group that matters to me the most is still hanging out there on a limb after 400 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I want us to be recognized, and I want our pain to be recognized, and I want the constant, never-ending short shrift that this government and country have just taken such pride in putting on us. I want it to be addressed. If he's not going to do that, if Sanders is not going to do that, I'm not sure what's going to happen, because you can't tell me or my family that, if we don't vote for whoever, then Trump is going to win. And by the way, if you don't vote for, and if Bernie doesn't get in, then Trump's win. Trump is not the devil to us. We've seen the devil.
Yeah, we've seen worse than Trump. Yeah, we've seen the devil, and many times he looked just like the people that claim to care about us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes he looks like us. Shit, we see,
yes.
and I agree. I've seen a whole lot of that from Bernie folks. Suddenly they're and I'm like,
and it's frustrating. It is upsetting. It's frustrating, and it made me realize, you know what? Take a step back. Mm-hmm. I'm going to continue to be who I am, and guess who I am? No agenda, no vote. No agenda. No vote. I'm not going to scream it on social media. I'm not going to scream it through email, but I am saying loud and clear to anyone who wants to hear me, this government is for us too. This country is for us too. And I want to have some say in this government. Okay, and I don't think I will have the say that I need if the people that are being elected won't even address the needs of my people.
Mm-hmm. The people that need your vote the most. Our votes are more valuable than our votes are the most valuable political real estate in the country on a national.
And isn't that the most insulting piece? They know that we have value, but they refuse to tell us. They refuse to let us know that we have that power. But we already know. Mm-hmm. We already know we have the power. They just won't give us the word. Mm-hmm. They won't give us the actions, and they won't give us the policies.
Nope, they sure won't. They would rather lose than deal with that fact, and that's the part that's most galling about all this.
I want to know why it's okay for the police to kill us. I want to know why it's okay for the police to do no-knock raids. I want to know why it's okay that for residents of white neighborhoods to decide that we are suspicious just because we're driving through. Who said that was okay? And who's going to address it?
Nobody.
Meanwhile, I go to visit my brother in Harlem. I go to visit friends in the city in traditionally, Black or Hispanic areas, and I see 18-wheeler trucks with white truck drivers coming down very small streets, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? No one would ever in a million years stop them. I see white couples with their children who are moving into the neighborhoods and taking advantage of the parks and the stores and the restaurants, and they love the African American cuisine. They love the African American style clothing and businesses. I don't see anyone saying, "Get out! What are you doing here?" I don't see anyone gaslighting them. I don't see anyone targeting them and harassing them, saying, "Get out." Mm-hmm. However, from what I'm hearing, the opposite is happening. I am hearing about Black homeowners, Black brownstone owners, business owners who are being told, "Hey, we would like to buy your property. Don't say no."
Mm. And I think that's part of the issue is that everyone knows money is power, and so many people that take advantage of us, especially in the real estate development space, so many people take advantage of us because we're poor as a community. You know, because we don't have the money to knock off politicians, right? Even though our votes can, but we don't have the money to decide who can run. You know, it's not. What did they say? The power is deciding what's on the menu, not choosing what's on the menu. And
correct.
And giving us the resources that we should have had forever. Giving us those resources will give us the power to decide what's on the menu, at least on the local level. And of course,
correct.
that will grow. And people fear
correct.
that. People fear
correct.
that. And people want to continue to be able to monetize our pain and commodify our pain, really. And as long as we're broke, they can continue to do that. And nobody wants that to change, obviously, not even Bernie at this point.
Which we keep coming full circle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is a measure, it's an example of maybe many ADOS are not going to feel this way, but for me, someone who supported him and believed in him, for him to take the stance that he's taken and to stand by it and to be so rigid about it, I want to know what's really happening here. What's really happening? Why is this happening? And when I hear people say, progressives, I might add, socialists, saying, well, where's the money coming from?
Oh, yeah.
The most offensive sentence that you will hear in the reparations dialogue for ADOS is, where's the money coming from? What that means is, to me, is that any other group in or out of this country could demand reparations, and it's completely understood that it would be money, it would be property, land, it could be anything, including money, and people won't blink, they won't say a word. But as soon as African American descendants of slaves decide that they are not only going to unify, but they're going to stand firm on what they believe is due them, we are angry.
Petulant.
We are anti-immigration.
Unrealistic. That's another one.
We're unrealistic. We're willing to throw our economy into the toilet for selfish purposes. We're the only people who can't look at money and say, we should have that.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that kill me. Always trying to make us seem selfish for wanting our children to have a future. You know.
And not wanting our kids to have a future. And don't forget, they're also saying, this really upsets me too, and I try to keep a lid on it. They truly believe that we are supposed to say, okay, I'll vote the way you want, I'll drop this topic, I'll stop talking about it because it makes it uncomfortable for certain politicians, Bernie. So I'm not going to discuss this any longer because I want him to win, even though he has flat out said he will not. And he did it on international television. He said, no money, no cash, no reparations. I'll do a study. He said it. But I'm supposed to say, okay. And progressives are going to call us names. They didn't call me any names years ago when I was donating and bringing in, a lot of voters. I was bringing in a lot of people who didn't know him from Adam.
Yeah.
My mother
loved me when I was writing. When I was writing about Bernie.
77 years old, and she went to vote for him, and she didn't even. I spent 2 years explaining him, sharing news reports and data on him, talking to her, making him understandable to her, to my children, to my friends, to other relatives. She spoke to her church, okay? Her church in the Bronx. She spoke to her family in South Carolina. They spoke to their church. I mean, that's what I mean by influence. We have influence. It's not just our vote. We have the influence and the ability to bring in so many people who we want to support somebody who we know is going to change the world and do for us. I don't want to hear, well, he's the one who's closest to what you want. He's the one who'll do the most. He might not give you exactly what you want, but he's going to do more for blacks than anyone else. And by the way, do you mind if we fold in every other black person into your group?
Yeah, fold every but we're the only ones allowed that have to settle for what Bernie puts on the table. We're the only ones. We're the only ones that can't push him further. Every other group.
Well, guess what? Here's how I feel. ADOS is not an omelet. You can't fold in ingredients, okay?
Nope. Been doing it for years, and it's hurt us.
It's really hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hurt us. I mean, we don't want to break down into tears here, but look at the number of Black men who have been killed or suicided in the last, say, 20 years. Okay, look at the number of Black men who were little boys who went to school with a big smile on their face, and then by the time they were 15 or 16 was saying, well, they say we're going to be dead by 25 anyway, so I should do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And by the way, isn't telling Black boys that their life expectancy is at 20, it goes to 25, isn't that a form of child abuse? And why is it okay?
And for any other group, these numbers would trigger international outrage. But it seems like people really were supposed to be.
We keep seeing this.
Mm-hmm.
They literally attack our minds.
Mm-hmm.
They tell us that we can't survive. They tell us that we don't deserve to survive because of all the mistakes that we've made, because we're lazy, because we're this, because we're that.
Mm-hmm.
But they never say the truth, which is, it's not that we're lazy. It's that we have been shafted.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
When you tell a child that they are not going to live past 25, when you print it in the New York Times, and it becomes a thing of legend in school, in colleges, in sociology classes, in psychology classes,
mm-hmm.
what are you doing to the psyche of a young Black male? What are you doing to the Black women who want to be with that Black male? What are you doing? You're telling us that we are a failure before we begin?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need reparations, because I've come to believe that we not only need the money, we need to believe that we are worth the effort.
Mm-hmm. And that's a big problem with a lot of Black people who aren't supporting reparations. They figure it's more trouble than it's worth because it's not going to happen, you know. And
they're also being pressured constantly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I don't tell anyone how to do their business, but I will say this.
Mm-hmm.
The dialogue that needs to happen, it needs to be on the ground, talking to people saying, hey, do you believe that there's a place for you in this country, in this government? And if you don't, tell me why. We're a lot more intelligent and articulate than people give us credit for, and the answers to those questions are not going to be what they expect.
No, not at all. And it's infuriating, like you said. You know, we supported Bernie. We've gotten people to support Bernie. We've written about him. We've talked about him, and we talked about his time in the civil rights movement. All these things, and he turns out for us, he's just like everybody else. And only
not only
is he just like
I won't say he's like everybody else, but I will say he disappointed me in a way that I didn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
Which means what? That I elevated him to an unrealistic level?
I don't think it was unrealistic based on what we know of, what we thought we knew of Bernie. I don't think it was unrealistic, because I guess I say that now because I was with you. I was like, hey, sooner or later he's going to flip, because there were just, everything points towards him flipping. His civil rights past, the fact that the Black vote is what he needs to undermine Biden, because that's his only real problem is Biden.
I can tell you this: if Bernie loses to Biden, I'm laughing when I say it.
Mm-hmm.
If Bernie manages to lose to Biden, who, in my opinion, is completely incompetent.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I don't know. I don't care who he may have been to people 20 or 30 years ago, but for the last decade, I thought this guy was a joke.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying straight up.
Yeah.
I thought he was a joke.
You're
And
right.
I also think that he has a race issue.
Absolutely.
I
No
also,
question.
I think he's got a lot of issues, and there are a couple that are distinctly ugly, and that's one of them.
Yeah, just one of them. Yeah, absolutely.
So if Bernie manages to lose to Biden, that's on Bernie. That's not on me. That's not on my ADOS family. That is nothing other than Bernie and the rigidity of his refusal. He's bowing to something greater than us as his constituents, and that's his choice. I just, for curiosity's sake, would like to know what is that greater thing, because I'm not going to let go of that. There's something greater happening here that they're bowing to. Why? The adamant refusal to address and acknowledge that we deserve this. We earned it, and we deserve it.
On the campaign, but I think the shift that Jamion got through his DMs from, I guess, again, from Bernie, I think it's a sign of good things, but I don't know if it's actually going to come to fruition, that he's going to shift, number one. And number two, like you said, where is the resistance coming from? Because our votes are so valuable, number one. And number two, he needs those votes like old people need soft shoes. But I think part of the reason is I think his campaign thinks that his coalition is broad enough not to worry about the Black vote. And I think it's not showing up in polling. And that's what I told some folks. I said, you need to get folks polling. You need to get these people, these phantom voters that you think you have, you need to get them in those polls. Because if the DNC can show that that the lead was likely between Bernie and Biden was likely insurmountable, if they can shut it on paper, they'll cheat and won't give a shit, right? If Bernie's behind, the last time I checked, he was like 12, 13 points behind Biden on the on Real Clear Politics on their and
by the way, he's behind, and only now on his campaign thinking, oh, maybe we should figure out how we can fold, reparations into this.
Yeah.
But they're not doing it because they believe it. They're not doing it because they're doing what DNC does. They're strategizing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to find a way to deal with it without dealing with it, and that's what they're trying to do, Like right now, Bernie is 10 points behind Biden, still.
And you have to wonder, how is that possible?
It's the Black vote because it's the Black vote because of Obama. It's a Black vote because of Obama. That's the only reason Biden is viable in the least. Otherwise, he would be gone. Right?
Well, guess what? The Black vote via Obama is going to give us Trump.
Yep.
Again. Yep. And we're saying it. We've been saying this now for how many months?
Yep.
They're not going to be able to say, "Oh, we didn't see it coming." We've been saying it. Okay.
Damn, Biden.
And I said
Biden
it.
dropped a bunch of points. Damn.
I have some really, really strong Bernie supporters who are pulling their hair out because they know that this is a wrong move. They believe that reparations have to happen. They believe it with everything in them, and they've said as much. I have supporters who are white, who are Bernie supporters, who have been attacked, and who watched me being attacked because I said, "Wait, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense." How do you look at the number of ADOS voters and say, "Okay, you'll just have to feel your pain a little longer because we've got other things to take care of"?
Yeah, exactly. And
we're being dismissed. We're being dismissed, and then not only are we being dismissed, which is insulting, we're being told, yes, we're dismissing you, but by the way, you still better show up and vote for our guy. And if you don't, by the way, we're going to do really infantile things. We're going to block you on social media. We're going to come after you. We're going to do all these things, and by the way, you have to forgive us for all of this emotion that we're throwing at you and the nastiness, because at the end of the day, it's on you if the country stinks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. As far as we're concerned, as far as my mother and her mother and the country, thrived and they sank.
Mm-hmm.
Does not anybody understand? Someone's cracking a whip over us still.
Mm-hmm. At will. At will.
And they're telling us to like it.
Bernie was supposed to be better than this. He was supposed to be a non-politician. And the worst, I agree. Yeah. So we're
I can tell you, I live here, and I can say I never see any militarized people charging into any white homes here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I have a gate and a wall, and I had a cop say to me and my child, "Hey, you know, if necessary, if we had to get in here, we could just break this." Why would he say that? Why would he say that?
Because he can.
But why say that? We're two people living on our property. We're nonviolent. We have a gate. I live in a town where people have high walls, gates, everything else. But my gate has made people say things like, "Oh, why did you put that up?" And I've had cops say to me, "Well, we can in an emergency, of course, we would break it down." And I'm like, why would he need to say that to me? What emergency are they going to manufacture?
Yeah.
And this is supposed to intimidate us. Well, what about Black people who live in apartments that are not gated communities, that are not you know what I'm saying? What do they do? What do they do?
Yeah.
I had a friend who had a no-knock invasion in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And she and her husband had no idea. They were asleep in their beds. The kids were asleep. It was the Christmas holiday. She had no idea what was going on. Wrong house. Wrong house. Is anybody doing that to Bernie?
Nope.
Don't get me started. Oh my God, look at me.
Yeah, it's like you. I'm extremely frustrated. I'm extremely disappointed.
I'm not frustrated, Michael. I'm pissed. Mm-hmm. I spend a lot of time trying to not be pissed. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the things that Patty said to me a few weeks ago was, "Calm down, Carla. Don't let them see that you're upset like this." Because I said to her in a private message, okay? And she said, "They want you to crack. They want you to lose it." Hear me. Mm-hmm. I'm not the kind of person who cracks. Okay? I don't give people what they want. If they're trying to break us and make us look like, crazy, violent Negroes, they're going to be so disappointed. I believe in operating differently, which is why I have contacted every government agency. Whether they can help me or not, I want them all on the line saying that they didn't help me.
Like I said, I think that people don't want the ability to do that to go away. They want to be able to treat us like any way they want to, monetize our pain, commodify our pain, keep going about their business. And they want to know that they can at any given point in time. If they needed some extra money, well, we can go scan some Black folks. We can pad the bottom line. And
I feel that ADOS has provided. Yvette and Tone have, and Darity, of course, mm-hmm. first and foremost, but they have done something that you and I couldn't have seen 30 years ago. They have unified us.
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
I'm not saying that we couldn't have ever unified. I don't know that. Mm-hmm. But they literally put into words and a format something that we could move with. Mm-hmm. We have something that we can put our energy on, and we're together.
Yeah.
And, I think it's really interesting that social media platforms, even like Twitter, are seeing a real uptick in Black engagement.
Absolutely.
But they don't want to give us credit for it.
No, of course not.
I actually thought about calling for ADOS to take the day off of social media, 24-hour cycle.
If you can get Tone and Yvette behind it, they would do it. Yeah,
a 24-hour cycle where we don't engage at all, not in private messages, which, as you know, are not private.
Of course not.
And there are all sorts of boycotts. And there's a reason why Martin Luther King believed in the boycott. That is our voice.
Yeah, I mean, you should be able to speak with your pocketbook. That's what kills me about people going after BDS. You should be able to do what the hell you want with your money.
I think that if we were to do no social media for a day, I don't know if it could ever happen, but I'm just saying if it did, not only, this is not just a message to white people, as many people would think. This is a message to Black actors and actresses, hip-hoppers, the ones who don't mind making money on us, but won't take a stand with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I find that very troublesome. That's
a whole other thing,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these people supporting Jay-Z, that's great. He's a great artist.
Mm-hmm.
He's not supporting us because his mentality, like so many others, is that they made theirs. And he has a right to that. He can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's so necessary that we actually show that we know our value
mm-hmm.
and that we're going to withhold that thing of value so that it profits us
mm-hmm.
for a change. For a change.
I think something like that could work. If you want to do it, I'll push you with Actify, and maybe we talk to the ADOS community and say, hey, what if we did stand down? What would happen?
I just say pick a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pick a day, like 2 months.
I say let's look at the analytics of the different sites.
Mm-hmm.
Pick the day that has the highest number.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be the day that we choose not to engage at all. Let's face it, as Black people, our lives are pretty busy.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to go into withdrawal.
Without social media, absolutely.
We're not going to go into withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun thing. It's a nice escapism. When we're pushing our agendas, it's a great thing, but we're not going to fall apart.
Mm-mm.
However, social media is about money.
Absolutely.
Okay? Whatever we may think, for those big-time influencers, for Jack, it's about money.
Mm-hmm.
Since money is all they understand, what if there was a day where no one interacted? And I'll go a step further. What if there was a day when, I've already done it, when no one says the word Bernie? Don't argue about him. Don't even say his name. Let them rail at you, but do not engage his name. Watch that. If you don't say his name, because I don't know if you've noticed, I don't say his name that much because it hurts me.
Mm-hmm. If
you don't say his name, the engagement for Bernie, those numbers go down
mm-hmm.
sharply. And you can bet they're paying attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say that he's down 12% or 10%, that's not a surprise to me.
It's not a surprise to me either. This is looking bad. I mean, Biden dropped a few points because of his gaffe in the last debate, but I don't see that as a problem. I don't think that's gonna last. I don't think it's gonna be. I think it's something that's temporary. It'll go back up. This 10-point gap is too wide. It's much wider than it should be.
It's September. The gap is wide.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I don't understand why they're not making a move. And the other thing with Bernie is that he doesn't depend on big donors. So this is not an issue for him, right? Yeah, I can see if you were depending on big Wall Street donors who don't want to see us power up, but he's not depending on Wall Street. He's depending on small donors across the country. Maybe that's his fear, but even that, I don't see that as the issue. I don't at all. I don't at all. I think, yeah, I don't know. I've had it pretty much with the campaign. Their recalcitrance of their campaign. the insensitivity and inability to not turn into Clinton's people, Bernie's supporters, because they have really turned into Hillary's folks, really, especially when it comes to this.
Yeah, and isn't that troubling?
Mm-hmm. They've really become Bernie bros.
And the reason for that, there's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
From what I'm seeing, I can't say what your engagement's like, but from where I'm sitting, the reason that there is this likeness is because the word progressive has been co-opted by the HRC people.
Yep.
And they brought that energy, which is rather unpleasant. The Deborah Messings, it's very unpleasant.
Mm-hmm. Very unpleasant. But Berners are doing the same goddamn thing.
It's the constant bullying. They're bullies. Mm-hmm. And then now they're saying they're progressives, and now you have progressives saying, I think I'm going to drop this name progressive because this has been co-opted. And there's nothing progressive about their platform. They just want to win. And the DNC will take anything. I believe the DNC would take over ADOS if they thought they could win.
Mm-hmm.
If they could muzzle us and take over ADOS, they would. And they're trying.
Oh, yeah, they're
trying. Don't kid yourself. It's not the GOP who's saying, ADOS are terrible. It's the DNC.
Yeah, the GOP doesn't give a shit about ADOS. The DNC, the GOP doesn't give a shit. They don't give a shit either way. They don't give a shit where our votes go.
You know who you should talk to? You know who you should talk to?
Who's that?
Isaiah Washington. Do you know who he is?
Yeah, the actor, yeah.
You need to talk to him. He's a huge supporter of ADOS.
Okay. Heard he's a Trump supporter, too. Is that true?
Yes, because the DNC screwed him over. The Democrats have just screwed him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I talked to him.
I try not to judge people on where they are in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of people, especially black men, there's a righteous sense of rage.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I'm probably going to put that picture of him when he's getting arrested in Chicago. Where is he now?
Well, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
That photograph,
mm-hmm.
Says so much about who he was and what he did.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Mm-hmm. Where is this Bernie? Mm-hmm.
And has he been gone for a while, or it was just on this issue?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did we only just notice that he's gone because of this issue? Or has he been gone for a while? I don't know. So many things that he is saying I agree with.
Mm-hmm.
So many things he's doing I agree with. For him to draw a line in the sand on me,
mm-hmm.
on my family,
mm-hmm.
I don't understand why that line is being drawn.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
This has been Talk to MG with Michael Graham and my special guest, Carla from the Northeast. Thank you so much for coming on, Carla. It's been a great conversation. There's a lot of food for thought here, and I'm all right on it.
Well, I apologize if I've taken you into another place.
No, but it's a necessary place. It's a necessary place.
It's just, this is a very big issue, Michael. Thank you so much for asking me to speak.
Okay, Carla, thanks again. Be in touch with you soon. Hopefully this won't be the last time we talk.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks for listening to Talk to MG. You can find my writing at actifypress.com under Michael Graham, and you can track me down on Twitter at MG_returns. Thanks again for listening. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. That's really important for the show to grow. And please remember you can become a patron at patreon.com/ActifyPress. Again, patreon.com/ActifyPress.